Most, if not all of you, are familiar with the story of St. Catherine Laboure and the apparition she was privileged to receive from Our Lady, our Blessed Mother, the apparitions that led to the striking of a medal of the Immaculate Conception, or as we know it, the Miraculous medal. Sister Catherine became Saint Catherine not simply because she was blessed with apparitions of the Blessed Mother. Rather, she became a saint because she faithfully lived her vocations to the best of her ability, her vocation as a Christian woman and her vocation as a daughter of charity. According to the founders of the Daughters of Charity, St. Catherine Laboure, St. Louise de Marillac, and St. Vincent de Paul, members of that community were to practice and give witness to, in a special way, three virtues which were to characterize the members of the Daughters of Charity: humility, simplicity, and charity. During her 46 years as a Daughter of Charity, Sister Catherine did certainly exemplify these three virtues. This morning I would like to reflect on not how Sister Catherine practiced and lived these three virtues, but rather how, as we, followers of Jesus and as devotees of Mary Immaculate, can live and practice them as we live our vocation, be that as a married or single person, as a religious, or as a priest. The virtue of humility. What is the virtue of humility? What characterizes a humble person? First of all, what the virtue of humility is not. It does not mean walking around with head down, head bowed, mumbling, "I am worthless, I am no good," and so forth. The virtue of humility means being honest with God, with oneself, and with others. A humble person, then, is an honest person. The humble person recognizes and acknowledges that God is the origin of all the good one has and is able to do. A humble person, then, is one who is grateful and gives praise and thanks to God for the gifts he or she has received. In addition to recognizing one's gifts and blessings, the humble person can honestly recognize and admit one's humanness, one's faults, failings, and at times one's sinfulness. While honestly admitting one's humanness, the humble person also realizes and believes that Jesus has a unique personal love for her or for him, and because of this love, Jesus offers the humble person the gift of redemption, the gift of salvation. The virtue of simplicity. What is the virtue of simplicity? What are the characteristics of a person who practices this virtue? The virtue of simplicity is basically concerned with the truth. A person who practices this virtue when he or she speaks the truth. As Jesus reminds us, say yes when you mean yes. Say no when you mean no. It is extremely difficult, for example, to deal with a person who is less than truthful. It's hard to trust such a person if you can never be sure if she or he is speaking the truth. The simple person is truthful, and you might say he or she practices what he or she preaches. A person practices the virtue of simplicity when she or he is a witness to the truth. Such a person is open, authentic, genuine. Today we speak of a person being transparent. You know where that person stands, that she or he is not pretending, putting on airs, trying to make herself or himself look better or superior to others. Those of you my age may remember a character played by the comedian Flip Wilson, the character Geraldine, and she would always say, "What you see is what you get." And such is the person who practices simplicity. He or she, again, is genuine, is authentic, is transparent. We can say that such a person acts with a certain purity of intention. This means that a person practices simplicity when he or she tries to act with the intention of pleasing God. He or she is not acting out of human respect, saying things or doing things in order to please others, to get ahead, to be praised, or to seek the adulation of others. The person practicing simplicity avoids being proud and/or boastful. The virtue of charity. What is the virtue of charity? What are the characteristics of a charitable person? The virtue of charity is defined by the words of Jesus. You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind. This is the greatest and first commandment. The second is like it, you shall love your neighbor as yourself. What are the characteristics of a charitable person? The icon or the image for the Daughters of Charity is a crucifix surrounded by a flaming heart, and around this image are the words, "The charity of Jesus Christ crucified presses us." This means that the love of Christ is the motivating force, the urge, the push behind everything a daughter of charity says or does. The same, I think, should be true for a charitable person. And so some of the characteristics of a charitable person. He or she is one who strives to love Jesus above all other people and above all things. To enable a person to do this, the charitable person must be a person of prayer, one who tries to deepen her or his relationship with the Lord Jesus. St. Vincent and St. Louise made it clear to their followers that their love must not only be affective, meaning having a sentimental love, a fuzzy, a good feeling, but their love must be effective. It must result in action, reaching out to others, basically to those who are in need. To enable one's love to be effective, to love one's neighbor, a charitable person must try to see the face of Jesus in each person and to recognize the tremendous dignity that person has. Recognizing the dignity of each person, the charitable person must then treat all others with respect, with love, with patience. This is to be true even toward those whom one might find offensive, obnoxious, or for whatever reason, difficult to deal with or to accept. A charitable person will pray for others and work to ensure their spiritual and material needs. Sister Catherine was faithful to practicing and living all those virtues which a true disciple of Jesus Christ should practice and live. She was especially faithful to those virtues which characterize a daughter of charity: humility, simplicity, and charity. Today, in the sight of many in our society, these virtues may be seen as weaknesses, that to be a humble person, a simple person, a charitable person means you will not get ahead in the world, and therefore they see them as a detriment, really as weaknesses. But certainly as followers of Jesus, they are truly virtues. They help us to deepen our relationship with the Lord. As followers of Jesus, then, let us ask him for those graces that we may faithfully live our vocation, whatever that might be. And as we reflect on these three virtues Sister Catherine so faithfully lived and practiced, let us ask Our Lady of the Miraculous Medal and St. Catherine to help us to be persons who truly live the virtues of humility, simplicity, and charity.